Hello, everyone, and welcome to video number 14 for the 2020 MATC Scholars Program. I'm very happy to have with me here today a former student employee and now colleague at the Mid-America Transportation Center, Sydney James. Sydney is going to talk to us a little bit about her educational experience and some of the outreach and research activity that she is doing right now. So happy to have you here, Sydney, and take it away.
Thanks. All right, I'll get my screen up for you. All right, so this is going to be just kind of the snapshot of my academic path that I took to get to this point. So I started at South Dakota School of Mines, and I started my bachelor's degree there in civil engineering. And after a few years of that, I ended up transferring to the University of Nebraska, where I ended up completing my bachelor's degree in civil engineering and then doing my master's degree. And so right now I'm looking to graduate in May with that master's degree in civil engineering. So School of Mines, I have nothing but good things to say about School of Mines. I was in a program called TASHPE. So that means extended family. For Native American students, they offer financial support as well as just camaraderie. You know, it's nice to be able to have a couple buddies that you can get familiar with and study with, and know who's in your classes. You know, when you're really struggling with Calc 2 or whatever it is, just having someone there that's either taking it with you or took it last year and can just kind of offer that kind of help in that way. Also, the program offered academic support. We were required to do so many study hall hours, which sounds like a pain, but sometimes it's nice to just have that kind of structured, like you got to sit down for an hour and you just got to study, you just got to work, you just got to get through that stuff. So it was a really great program. And I wish that we could have these programs everywhere, because I absolutely credit this program with a lot of my success that I had at School of Mines. So that was really great. And then I transferred, like I said, to University of Nebraska, Lincoln. And so once I got to University of Nebraska, I got a job with the Mid-America Transportation Center. And that has been absolutely a priceless thing for me. Just having that partnership with the Mid-America Transportation Center. I was able to do some undergraduate research through them. So this, I don't know if you'll recognize it, but this is actually MATC, and this is Nebraska Indian Community College. And so when talking to folks up there and Dawn at Nebraska Indian Community College, they were talking about this highway right here and how worried they were about folks crossing that highway, and then the potential of children crossing once the daycare gets up and going up in the college. And so we set up our traffic trailer up there to count vehicles that were going by, and then also checking out those speeds to see how fast they were going by, so that we could have some hard data to present to hopefully get something done there. At this point, that project's a little bit at a standstill, but we do have the data collected and given, so hopefully it'll get into the right hands, so something can be done there. But that was one of the things that I got to do as an undergraduate that was something that could hopefully benefit a reservation community, which is really important. Something I forgot to mention at the beginning of this, I'm actually an enrolled member of the Ogallala Sioux tribe up in South Dakota. And so that's kind of where my, I guess you could say, relation to Native American issues, why it's so important to me and why it's been kind of a focus throughout my academic career. Another thing I've gotten to do at the University of Nebraska that's been a lot of fun is some of the outreach opportunities. Obviously with the Scholars Program, I've been involved with this for 3 years now. And then also the Sovereign Native Youth STEM Leadership Summer Academy. It's an awesome summer program where we have some kids come out to Lincoln. It's a week-long program. It's exhausting, but it's so much fun. It's so good to have the kids out and kind of show them starting earlier than college, right? And the high school kids, and showing them all the things that you can do, all the possibilities, whether it's engineering, whether it's, science, and just hopefully exposing them to that and getting them inspired to a STEM career that they want to pursue as they go forward. And then obviously the scholars program, that's a great one. Love to talk to people at the beginning and then talk to people at the end and see how their attitudes have changed about hopefully pursuing a 4-year degree. So that's really an awesome thing to get to do. And then finally, so that's all stuff that I got to do as an undergrad, and then some of that bleeding over into as a master's student. But my main focus as a master's student, obviously, is my thesis, my big research project. And for that, I was able to kind of choose my project, and my advisor, Dr. Rylett, knowing that Native American issues are so important to me, I was able to kind of guide me towards transportation safety in rural and tribal areas, and then using Thurston County as a case study. So just trying to address issues, focusing on the transportation of hazardous materials through Thurston County, whether those are by road or by rail. So that's been my big focus for the last year and a half, is just researching those issues surrounding that and hopefully offering some potential solutions to that. So one of the really cool things about this and about that research, and like I say, about being part of University of Nebraska, and more specifically the Mid-America Transportation Center and Nebraska Transportation Center, is I've been able to do this research, but then also present it into audiences that I don't think would normally see these kinds of issues. Specifically, the Transportation Research Board annual meeting. So that's a huge meeting with, gosh, I don't remember the number. It's in the tens of thousands of attendees from all over the world. And so being able to bring some attention to transportation issues on Native American reservations. Most recently, also presented to the Nebraska chapter of the American Council of Engineering Companies. There were 170 different people on the call, and that was different agencies throughout Nebraska. And again, just bringing more attention to the issues on Native American reservations, because sometimes it's, out of sight, out of mind. People that don't have experience with reservations don't know about them. And so, nothing can change if people don't know about it. And then also being able to present to the Resilience Alliance annual science meeting, and being virtual this year, able to get that information in front of people in Sweden, Michigan, and Nebraska, and I think a little bit on the East Coast too. But so that's kind of what I have for you today, to inspire you, hopefully, to maybe try something else, and just understand that you can go to school and you can still make a difference to your people, and there's a lot of options. So thank you so much for having me. Gabe, is there anything else that you want to cover?
Yeah, let's can you take your screen off? Oh, there we go. All right. So one thing we've talked about in videos is the opportunities for funding. So right now, graduate school, you paying for it?
No, I'm not. I'm actually getting paid to go to graduate school. Getting paid pretty well. And not paying anything for it. And then also have been the recipient of some additional scholarships too after that, in addition to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the opportunities for Native American students to study, to pursue education further are just enormous. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of one of the messages that we've been talking about in the Scholars Programs video. So it's good to see another person who's been taking advantage of that. one thing that you forgot in your history is that we did a couple summer. Did we do one or two summers up at Macy for the summer school for roads, rails, and race cars?
Ah, that's right. Yeah. Yep. With the elementary kids and I think some middle school too. Yeah. That was fun. I think that was just one summer that I got to go up there and do that with you.
Yeah, I think that's right. But that is like experience that, you can get to go on your, CV, and stuff like that, it's kind of, you wouldn't get it if you didn't kind of go looking for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. And so, what advice? So our audience is currently at a 2-year degree. What advice do you have for going to the next step, going to a 4-year institution, whether it be UNL or anywhere else?
Do it and talk to people. Get a buddy in every class. That was one of my biggest regrets, was not doing that sooner. There's no reason to struggle by yourself. Get a buddy, someone that you can trade notes with, someone that you can ask questions with, and you're not going to feel like you're asking a silly question or a stupid question. You'd be surprised. That's my biggest advice that sometimes I have to remind myself to take.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And then, what's on the horizon?
For me,
Mm-hmm.
graduation in May, hopefully defend this thesis and keep going. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. But I guess, yeah, that's well, one thing I had in mind is that I just got done recording a video about liberal arts and humanities, and I'd say that the difference between that kind of degree and an engineering degree is that the engineering degree is a lot more technical and specific.
Mm-hmm.
And so do you have, and a lot of that technicality might include like classes on math and stuff. Like, do you have advice for students who might be interested in that, but also maybe a little bit wary because of those requirements?
Yeah. I don't think anyone's inherently good at math or bad at math. I think people just have more or less practice at it. And I think that's really what it comes down to. It's just like, anything else, you had to, read it and practice it to learn it. And it's the same with math. You just have to, I would never describe myself as someone that's good at math. But obviously, gotten an engineering degree because like you say, it's just practice.
Mm-hmm. And did you, so you mentioned like having friends that you could work with and other support, things like tutoring and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. That's, like you say, when you're trying to get those repetitions in, you're trying to get that practice in. It's easier to get a higher quality practice when you've got a little bit of support, because if you're just sitting in the room alone and you're just working through problems, you don't know if you're doing them right, you don't know if you're doing them wrong, or if you get stuck at a portion, then you're just stymied and you can't get past that one portion. So when you have a buddy or you have a tutor, you have, someone that's working with you, that's where you go, man, I can't remember what to do after this step, or, or do you remember what the professor said when they were explaining this? Or, just like I say, just having two brains going at it versus just you alone. And that's the other thing, when you're going at it alone and you're trying to get those reps in and you get stuck and then you're like, you know what, I'm going to turn Netflix on or I'm going to do something else. Then you get distracted and then, your hour of study time turned into 10 minutes and you got frustrated and, moved on. So like I said, having someone else that kind of helps keep you accountable also, like, all right, we're going to study for an hour. And, then you and your buddy are going to really do that and not, doodle around and do something else. So.
Oh, and then what's the biggest difference that you can kind of talk about between undergraduate and graduate in your master's?
Definitely the classes are so different. In undergrad, I don't want to say busy work, but you just have, you have homework almost every week or every class, or, something, you have an assignment that you need to do. In graduate school, even in engineering, where I always joke engineers don't know how to read, there's a lot of just reading assignments and then, discussions about the reading assignments or, things like that. It's much less, do 15 problems by, Friday. It's more, understanding the concepts and things like that. And then how can you apply that to your own research and a lot of, writing papers and things like that. But honestly, the class workload is far, far less because everyone kind of understands that you're doing research. So you're busy, you're plenty busy. You don't need, and so that's definitely the difference, talk to, buddies that are still in their undergrad and they're talking about these all-nighters and these, exams and things. And I feel for them, but I just don't have that anymore.
Yeah, it's much more focused.
Mm-hmm.
Is kind of what I characterized it before. And then I guess and then you transferred into UNL. Were you in a situation where you had the ability to go right into major classes and sort of just concentrate on those?
Yes and no. You know how it is. Funny when you transfer, especially out of state. I know in-state transferring is a little bit different, a little bit of the same standards and things of that. So yeah, I still had a few kind of funny classes that I had to take. Like I ended up taking Biology 101 my first semester at UNL, which obviously has nothing to do with civil engineering. But then, yeah, I was able to, some of my stuff did transfer over. So I was able to kind of just keep going in my higher level engineering classes, like 300 level engineering classes.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah. And you probably also, School of Mines is fairly, technical. So, it's an engineering specific school.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Yeah. So your situation might be a little bit different, but yeah, one thing we're emphasizing is kind of planning ahead. And if you're thinking about doing the transfer, knocking out as many classes as you possibly can so that when you get to the 4-year, the new school, it's concentrating on your major and, just kind of jumping in with your best foot forward, to mix two metaphors.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, anything else that you'd like to say today?
I don't think so. I think I covered everything. I don't know. Like I say, don't be afraid to reach out, whether it's, if you end up at UNL and it's to one of us, or if you end up somewhere else, just, you're not bothering anyone by reaching out.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, Sydney's contact information is in the program booklet. She's in the program booklet. So yeah, if you have specific or questions or anything like that, that's where you'll find her information. So I guess I'd like to thank everybody for your attention, and thank you, Sydney, for your presentation and participating one more year in the Scholars Program. We're so glad to have you. And
Thank you. Yeah, it's awesome.
all right, thank you.